Are you aware of the similarities between the stock market crash of 1929 and 2008? Well, markets experienced similar losses in both crises. When you look at how the markets behaved throughout both crashes, you'll notice that they were at all-time highs during both periods. The Dow Jones Industrial Average achieved a record of 381 on September 3rd, 1929, while the NYSE peaked at a closing price of 14,164 on October 9, 2007. And by the end of the crisis, Dow Jones had lost 50% of its value, while the 1929 crash saw an 83% decline. Do you think this is coincidence? Or do you think that history is perhaps repeating itself? Do you see any pattern over here? Fear and greed usually take over, which eventually trigger the stock prices. Therefore, in order to quantify these emotions so as to make informed decisions, we use technical analysis. And in this module, we learn just that. Hello, I'm Prateek Singh, the CEO and founder of LearnUp.com, and welcome to the Zerodha Varsity video series. In the previous module, we learned about the basics of how markets work, but now it's time for you to develop a point of view. A good point of view has elements of price, where to buy and sell an asset, elements of risk, of holding period, and also expected reward. Now, technical analysis is a technique to do just that. So allow me to explain to you with an analogy. Now imagine you're on a vacation and you're a tourist in a foreign country. Everything from the culture, the people, the language, and even the food is completely new to you. You spend all day during the usual touristy activities, and by evening you're famished and you need to have something to eat. And you find out that there is a food street nearby. You walk yourself there and find out multiple vendors are selling different kinds of food. Now, to add to the misery of not being able to choose where to buy from, you don't understand the food types. Neither can you ask someone what food to choose because you don't speak the language. So given all of this, how would you decide which vendor to choose from and what food to eat? Now, you have two options. The first option is that you can go to each single vendor, find out the cooking style, the ingredients used, and maybe even taste the food, and then compare all of this with, say, 100 vendors and really find out what you want to eat. Now, this is a good thing because you'll be able to find what you want to eat. But the problem here is that this method is not really scalable. Now, imagine doing this with 100 vendors. You won't be able to do it. So you'll probably do this comparison with only a few vendors and you miss the opportunity to have the best tasting food. And of course, this requires a lot of time and energy. The second option is that you stand in a corner and observe all the vendors and see which vendor is attracting the highest number of customers. Now, your assumption is very simple. Because the vendor is able to attract a lot of customers, the food must be good. Now, based on your assumption of the crowd's preference, you've actually selected the vendor and probably your dinner. Now, there's a reason we have both of these analogies. Option one is fundamental analysis, where you go through the cash flow statement, financial statements, management, and many other things to come to a conclusion whether a stock makes sense to invest in or not. Option two is actually very similar to technical analysis. Technical analysis is a research technique used to identify trading opportunities in the market based on market participants' actions. The actions of the market participants can be visualized using a stock chart. Now, over time, patterns are formed on these charts which deliver a certain message. And the job of a technical analyst is to analyze these patterns and develop a point of view. And that basically is technical analysis. Now, like any research technique, technical analysis too stands on a few assumptions, something that all technical analysts believe. The first one is that markets discount everything. The second is the how is more important than why. Price moves in trends, and history tends to repeat itself. So we'll understand all these assumptions as we explore technical analysis in detail in this module. Another argument people often get stuck up in is technical analysis better or fundamental analysis? Don't go down that pit. These are two different techniques. You could even possibly combine them in the future, but your job as a beginner is to understand both of these techniques and see what works for you. And key takeaways from this video are: